Live from New Delhi, watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Lipakshi Khurana, coming up in the next 30 minutes. Government rules out terror anger, confirms the Nowgam police station blast was accidental. That claimed 9 lives. US President Donald Trump lowers tariffs on agricultural imports, also reaches a new trade agreement with Switzerland to lower tariffs on Swiss goods. And in sports, world number 2, Jannik reaches semi-finals of ATP Tennis, comfortably beat Ben Shelton 6-3, 7-6. And on to the details now. Government on Saturday said the late-night explosion at Srinagar's Nowgam police station was an accident that occurred during the handling of explosive material recovered in a terror module investigation. Well, Prashant Lokhande, Joint Secretary, Jammu and Kashmir Division, said the cause of the incident is being investigated. However, any other speculation into the cause of this incident is unnecessary. The government stands in solidarity with the families of the deceased.
In this unfortunate accidental incident, 9 people have lost their lives, whereas 27 police personnel, 2 revenue officials and 3 civilians have received injuries. Injured were immediately rushed to the medical care and attention. The building of police station has received severe damages, besides some of the buildings surrounding the police station. The cause of the accident is being investigated. However, any other speculation into the cause of these incidents are unnecessary. The government stands in solidarity with the families of the deceased in this hour of grief.
Well, late on Friday night, an accidental and unfortunate explosion rocked the Nowgam police station in Srinagar, Jammu and Kashmir, leaving 9 people dead and multiple others injured. Earlier, addressing a press conference in Srinagar, Jammu and Kashmir, Director General of Police Nalin Prabhat explained that a huge quantity of explosives recovered from Faridabad as part of an ongoing investigation had been securely stored at the station following standard procedure. Now, the explosion caused severe damage to the police station and also damaged adjacent residential structures. The extent of the damage is currently
unfortunate incident.
Assessed.
9 people have lost their lives. 1 personnel of SIA, 3 personnel of the FSL team, 2 crime photographers, 2 revenue officials who were basically part of the magistrates team, 1 tailor who was associated with the team. In addition, 27 police personnel, 2 revenue officials and 3 civilians from the adjacent areas have received injuries. The injured were immediately evacuated to the nearest hospital where they are being treated as we speak.
And today is a day to honor the tribal people of the country. Tribal Pride Day is celebrated every year on November 15th. This day honors tribal people who are contributing to the creation of a strong India. Their contribution to nation building is also remembered.
November 15th is a day to honor the rich culture, centuries-old traditions and historical heritage. This day is extremely important to remember the contributions of tribal people who have lived in India since ancient times to nation building. November 15th is celebrated every year as Tribal Pride Day. This day is dedicated to the brave tribal people and the god of tribal people, Birsa Munda, who sacrificed his life in India's freedom struggle, whose birth anniversary is today. Birsa Munda was born on November 15, 1875. His struggle earned him the title of God. He led the tribal movement against the British. Bhagwan Birsa Munda is not just a name. He is a thought that sacrificed everything for the honor of tribal people and the pride of the country. Tribal Pride Day is the day that tells the future generations of the country the unforgettable story of the contributions of Birsa Munda and hundreds of tribal people like him. Celebrating Tribal Pride Day began on November 15th, 2021, on the completion of 75 years of independence. The purpose of this day is to honor the tribal freedom fighters and tribal people engaged in nation building. Tribal Pride Day celebration began as a part of Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, marking 75th independence. Tribal Pride Day is also a day for citizens of the country to connect with the tribal society and understand their cultural heritage. This day symbolizes recognition of the traditions of tribal society. This day raises awareness about the development and rights of the scheduled tribes. Every year, the Government of India organizes cultural programs and workshops on Tribal Pride Day, prioritizing the display of tribal art and their issues. This day provides an opportunity to show respect for tribal art and their rights. In 2021, the Tribal Freedom Fighter Museum was established in the country, through which the heroic tales of tribal heroes are being shared with the world. Additionally, the Prime Minister's mission for specially vulnerable tribal groups is underway, which aims to connect tribals with the dream of a developed India by raising awareness of their rights. The Government of India also operates a Eklavya model, residential schools, and Vandhan Vikas Kendra for tribals. Museums for tribals have been established in Chindwara and Jabalpur. Tribal research institutes are also operating in Srinagar and Gangtok. Tribal Pride Day is an effort to foster the dream of tribal survival and self reliance. Bureau Report, DD India.
And President Draupadi Murmu paid floral tributes at the statue of Bhagwan Birsa Munda at Prerna Sthal in Parliament premises in New Delhi. The centre has marked 15th November as Janjatiya Gaurav Diwas, recognizing the importance of keeping tribal history alive. Over the years, this observance has expanded into Janjatiya Gaurav Week, celebrated across ministries and states with cultural programs, exhibitions and educational activities that bring the legacy of tribal heroes to life. Vice President C.P. Radhakrishnan and Lower House Speaker Om Birla also paid tributes at Prerna Sthal. Well, since 2021, November 15th has been celebrated as Tribal Pride Day to honor the sacrifices of tribal freedom fighters. Tribal communities played a crucial role in India's freedom struggle through various revolutionary movements. And Prime Minister Narendra Modi's journey with tribal communities began not in offices but in the small villages of Gujarat. As a young pracharak, he spent years among Janjatiya families across Sabarkantha, Baroda and Dang, staying in their homes, sharing their meals and understanding their struggles firsthand. Now, during the droughts of the 1980s in Gujarat, he arranged for the delivery of food and water to tribal families when many villages were cut off from the aid. He urged the volunteers to replace lavish celebrations with something more meaningful, like sponsoring the education of a tribal child. These experiences shaped his belief that tribal communities require not only compassion but also opportunities. And in the years that followed, his commitment grew to ensure every tribal family received what they had always deserved, a life of dignity and self-reliance. Well, it is not a common thing for someone born in a poor tribal family to become Dharti Ava, or the father of the earth, or God. However, Bhagwan Birsa Munda created history by transforming himself from an ordinary person to a god in just 25 years. Dedicated to tribal interest, Birsa Munda transformed the condition and direction of tribal society, ushering in a new era for it. Take a look. Whenever tribal freedom fighters are discussed, the name of legendary tribal leader Birsa Munda is the first to come to mind. The story of Lord Birsa Munda, a symbol of tribal pride and struggle, inspires every citizen. It was as a result of his struggle that a special law was enacted for tribals, and his indelible contribution to the freedom movement led to the Tribal Pride Day, celebrated every year on November 15th in his memory, which was announced by the Government of India under the leadership of Prime Minister Narendra Modi in the year 2021. Bhagwan Birsa Munda was born on November 15, 1875 into the Munda tribe in Ulihatu village, Jharkhand. This was the time when the British Raj had begun to infiltrate the dense forest of central and eastern India. This nefarious act by the British caused a significant harm to the tribal communities who had lived in harmony with nature and natural resources for centuries. The British introduced the zamindari system in the Chota Nagpur region. Traditionally, Kentucky farming system was destroyed primarily during British period. Under the Kentucky system, tribal people jointly owned land. Along with zamindari, British also introduced money lending and contracting. This resulted in widespread exploitation of the tribal people. Along with infiltrating the forest, the British also initiated large-scale religious conversions in tribal areas. Legendary tribal leader Birsa Munda protested against this and led a movement against British rule and religious conversions. He also launched a campaign to eradicate many superstitious customs prevalent among the Mundas and other tribal communities. Legendary tribal leader Birsa Munda raised awareness among tribal communities against the British policy of exploitation and conversion, inspiring tribals to protect their water, forest and land. Legendary tribal leader Birsa Munda launched the Ulgulan Great Upheaval movement in 1899 to 1900. This rebellion was against the feudal system, the zamindari system and the British rule. The movement included Mundas, Oraons and some non-tribals. During the movement, Birsa Munda's powerful slogan Abua Raj Ite Jana Maharani Raj Tundu Jana, meaning "May the Queen's rule end and our rule be established," became a rallying cry for tribal empowerment. Bhagwan Birsa Munda was arrested in 1900. He was imprisoned in Ranchi jail, where he died on June 9, 1900. However, Bhagwan Birsa Munda's struggle was not in vain, and the British were forced to pass the Chota Nagar Tenancy Act in 1908. This act prohibited the transfer of tribal land to non-tribals. Whenever tribal rebellions are discussed, Bhagwan Birsa Munda's name will always be mentioned first. Bureau Report, DD India. And moving on, Bharat Mandapam in New Delhi is hosting the 14-day 44th International Trade Fair, which began on Friday. The India International Trade Fair is one of the largest trade fairs in the world. The IITF is a platform that has been used by various regulators in the financial sector and other state and government institutions to spread awareness about their policies and programs among the public. This year's theme, Ek Bharat, Shresth Bharat, highlights India's cultural diversity and development. This year, Bihar, Rajasthan, Maharashtra and Uttar Pradesh are the participating states, with Jharkhand has been chosen as the focus state. Now, the fair features 12 foreign exhibitors from countries such as the UAE, China, Iran, South Korea and Egypt. The 14-day fair will be open to trade visitors for the first 5 days and to the general public for the remaining 9 days. And still to come in this edition of DD India Live. Trump calls for Justice Department probe into Epstein links involving Bill Clinton, JP Morgan and ex-Harvard president. Google unveils $40 billion Texas expansion to power US cloud and AI growth.
I have been a strong critic of British colonialism, but I don't personally believe that we can blame everything on the British anymore. Kerala, in 1957, elected a communist government, the first ever democratically elected communist government anywhere in the world.
Can the Kerala model be implemented in other Indian states as well?
Very good question to which I can't give you a simple answer.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India Live. I'm Vipakshi Khurana, and moving on, President Donald Trump said China has agreed to buy U.S. soybeans and other farm goods after talks between Washington and Beijing on Friday. He claimed the purchases were already underway, though he did not specify which officials took part in the discussions. Now, the comments came as the USDA trimmed its forecast for U.S. corn and soybean output, while noting rising corn supplies. Futures markets slumped as traders had expected deeper production cuts and continued weak Chinese demand for U.S. soybeans. Later on Friday, Trump signed an order lowering U.S. tariffs on imports such as beef, coffee, bananas and tomatoes to ease cost of living pressures. The tariff exemptions, backdated to Thursday, follow new U.S. trade agreements with Argentina, Guatemala, Ecuador and El Salvador.
And they're in the process of doing it. We spoke to them today. They're in the process of doing not only a little bit, but they'll be doing a lot of soybean purchase.
Well, Switzerland has reached a new trade agreement with the United States that lowers U.S. tariffs on Swiss goods to 15% from 39%. The deal includes a pledge by Swiss companies to invest $200 billion into the U.S. by the year 2028. Now, Economy Minister Guy Parmelin said Switzerland made no concessions that affect its sovereignty on sanctions, export controls or investment policies. He added that the previous tariff level had caused considerable damage, impacting around 40% of Swiss exports. Now, the agreement will also reduce Swiss import duties on selected U.S. industrial, fish, seafood and non-sensitive agricultural products. Switzerland will grant the U.S. duty-free quotas on beef, bison and poultry under the new framework.
Today, I can announce that Switzerland and the United States have reached common ground regarding additional tariffs, thanks in particular to the new momentum created by US President's commitment. This represents an important step for our exporting companies and for the stability of our trade relations. First, the United States has agreed to reduce the level of additional tariffs. For Switzerland, these tariffs will now be capped at 15%, which, as I have said, puts us on an equal footing with the European Union. Second, products that were already exempt will continue to benefit from this exemption. This notably concerns pharmaceutical products, certain chemicals, gold, and semiconductors.
Certains produits chimiques, l'or et les semi-conducteurs.
And moving on, U.S. President Donald Trump said on Friday he wants the Justice Department to investigate links between the Jeffrey Epstein and former Democratic President Bill Clinton. The move comes 2 days after a congressional committee released thousands of documents that raised new questions about Trump's relationship with the late financier. Along with Clinton, Trump also demanded the Justice Department and FBI probe banking giant JP Chase and ex-Harvard president Larry Summers, who served as Clinton's Treasury Secretary. There was no immediate comment from Clinton, Summers, JP Chase, which in 2023 agreed to pay $290 million to settle a class action lawsuit brought by victims of Epstein, its former client. While 9 in 10 Republicans say they approve of Trump's performance in the White House overall, just 4 in 10 say they approve of his handling of the Epstein files. And Donald Trump also said that he was pulling his support for key ally Marjorie Taylor Greene after a string of disagreements, calling the hard-right lawmaker a ranting lunatic. It marks an extraordinary rift in Trump's Make America Great Again movement a year before U.S. midterm elections, with Trump facing growing criticism of the cost of living and the Jeffrey Epstein scandal. Trump also replied to Greene's allegations of him spending too much time abroad and neglecting domestic issues.
So I heard that Marjorie Taylor Greene said, oh, gee, I'm spending too much time overseas. So let's say I don't meet with China. You know what's happened right now? To Georgia and every other state? They're not working because your magnets and your rare earths would have kicked in. And there wouldn't be a factory in the world that was working. If I didn't have a relationship overseas with China, with Japan, with South Korea, with all of them, Malaysia, I went to Malaysia, but visited many more countries.
Well, a fatal bus crash shook central Stockholm late on Friday when a double-decker bus rammed into a bus stop near the Royal Institute of Technology. Several people were victims of the crash, with authorities confirming 3 casualties so far. Emergency services, police and ambulances rushed to the scene. Video footage showed rescue teams working around the wreckage with debris scattered near the bus. Officials confirmed that no passengers were on board at the time of the crash. Police say the incident is being investigated as involuntary manslaughter. The bus driver has been arrested. No indication of an attack has been confirmed yet. Sweden's Prime Minister Ulf Kristersson expressed his condolences, saying his thoughts are with the victims and their families and investigations continue. And in a latest update on Russia-Ukraine conflict now, Russia launched a drone and missile attack on Ukraine on Friday, killing 6 people in Kyiv and 2 more in the south in strikes on energy facilities, apartment buildings and infrastructure. Officials said most of the drones and missiles were shot down, but falling debris and fires damaged high-rise apartments, a medical facility and administrative buildings across 9 districts in the city of about 3 million. President Vladimir Zelensky said that Ukraine used long Neptune missiles on targets in Russia, while Russia's Ministry of Defense said its troops hit Ukrainian energy facilities and weapon production complex with high-precision weapons to respond to Ukrainian attacks on Russia. Well, the United States will test nuclear weapons like other countries do, President Donald Trump said on Friday, but declined to say if the plans included exploding a nuclear warhead. Aboard Air Force One, Trump said U.S. will do nuclear testing like other countries. Trump last month ordered the U.S. military to immediately restart the process for testing nuclear weapons after 33 years, making the surprise announcement on Truth Social while aboard his Marine One helicopter flying to meet Chinese President Xi Jinping for a trade negotiating session in Busan, South Korea. And the UN Security Council will vote on Monday on a resolution backing President Donald Trump's Gaza peace plan, diplomats said. The text is meant to build on the ceasefire in the two-war Israel-Hamas war. Washington began circulating the draft last week among the 15 council members. The plan outlines security arrangements, reconstruction steps and political mechanisms for Gaza's future. The United States has urged a swift adoption of the resolution. Several Arab and Muslim-majority nations, including Egypt, Saudi Arabia and Turkey, have also backed a quick vote. And on to some business news now. Google has announced a massive $40 billion investment in Texas to expand its cloud and AI infrastructure through the year 2027. The funding will build new data center campuses in northern Texas, strengthening Google's long-standing presence in the state. Now, the company said that investment aims to support Texas workforce and ensure the U.S. retains a strong AI backbone. Texas has become a hub for tech giants, attracting firms like OpenAI, Meta, Tesla, Oracle and Samsung. Google is also launching a $30 million energy impact fund to help communities manage rising power demands from data centers. Now, the company recently said its 2025 capital spending could reach $91 to $93 billion, driven by large-scale AI ambitions. And Walmart announced that CEO George McMillan will retire next year after more than a decade leading the world's largest retailer as the company navigates new challenges such as artificial intelligence and global tariffs. Now, McMillan, 59, will be replaced by U.S. Division Chief CEO John Furner, 51, a veteran with 3 decades at the company. McMillan, who joined Walmart in 1984 as an hourly associate, has served in leadership roles at all 3 Walmart divisions, U.S., International and Sam's Club. He rose through the ranks to become a CEO of Walmart in February 2014, replacing Mike Teoke. Now, Walmart on Friday said McMillan will retire in January next year, but continues to be employed as an advisor of the company through January 31st, 2027. And now to some sports news now. Well, number 2, Jannik Sinner comfortably beat Ben Shelton 6-3, 7-6 on Friday to complete a perfect group stage in his ATP Finals title defence. Now, it took Sinner 1 hour and 35 minutes to defeat Shelton. Sinner will next face Alex de Minaur in the first semi-final on this afternoon. If he wins it, it will be the 3rd final for the Sinner, as he will be setting up the possibility of a finals showdown with his rival number 1 Carlos Alcaraz, who will face Canada's Felix Auger-Aliassime in semi-finals. All right, that's all for this edition of DD India Live, but let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on the DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. Scan the QR code on the screen to download now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Lipakshi Kurana from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India Live.